Welcome back to the Hobby Shed. In this video we are going to be painting some armour, a tank. Yeah, I'm going to paint a tank. So this is the APC for my newly painted Death Korps of Krieg squad that I did in my last video, and I said I'd give you a teaser, I'll be doing a tank in the next one. So this is their APC, their, what do you call it, Proxy Chimera that I got from Hammerline Minis. Now I've got a box here somewhere. Hammerline Minis, I bought it from them. This came in a really nice branded box. It has every option that you'd require for any kind of Chimera setup. Yeah, I was well impressed. I've not really delved too much into 3D printed models yet, and it was my kind of first foray into that. So yeah, I was quite pleased. The only thing I will say is, 3D printed resin is a bit less forgiving than your plastic models, and there was a bit of trial and error at times getting things done and sorted, but we got there in the end. I've done a magnetized version of this APC. Now, I'm no stranger to armoured vehicles. Back in the day in the army, I was a warrior gunner, which meant I cabbied into battlefield in the turret of an armoured APC, an armoured personnel carrier, and my role on the battlefield was to provide that armoured support. So yeah, I quite like the role on the battlefield that an APC has. Okay then, let's get into it. First thing I've got to do is get some spray on it. So this is my go-to dark grey at the minute. It's like a bluey grey, a Wolf King grey from Colourforge. I really do like this spray, and I'm using it as kind of like the base colour for my Space Wolves as well, so it comes in handy. Let's get spraying. So the first thing I need to be doing is highlighting and edge highlighting, and I'm going to be doing that with some standard rust grey. And sometimes you've got to get amongst it. We'll slap some of this on. Go from there. Terrible when it comes to bolts. So let's start on the edge here. I'm not going for a super flush because I want it to look kind of mottled, perhaps even, dare I say, damaged. Go along the edge here like this. And where possible, I'm just going to use the side of the brush to get it into the places that I want. If I just go along, I can work all these different edges potentially at the same time. So I'm cutting into a couple there. I'm not being too, rigid to make sure every surface has an edge highlight to it, as long as there's an element of crossover with some, just because when eventually we go over the other stuff as well, the chipping and whatnot, we'll go over areas. Right, so next bit, using my trusty sponge, my trusty The Fang, I'm gonna literally get my dab on to battle damage up the transfers. And so I'll just literally get it all the way down. Okay, so I'm going to roll this bit of sponge up, grab all of it like this, okay, and this time that's going to be my edge, so let's see how that might look. Yeah, okay, so areas that I've seen more use are probably going to be the bits to do this on. So, before you imagine, edges, the turret, modelling it up, it's a really nice effect. Let's just, and then where you've done it, where we've added it on where the edge highlighting is, it's helping to break up that line now. And also gives like a look of texture to the whole thing. Okay, that's that. We'll come back to that. Right. The vehicle itself then. Again, test it out somewhere else first, just to make sure it's not overly too much. Let's try that now. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Somewhere like the front of the vehicle is going to get the most wear and tear, so I'm not going to be afraid here just to dab more, because it would get pretty hammered. Right, on the belly plate, that's where you'd get a lot of action going, so I'm just going to go mental here. I'm not going to worry too much. Where these edges and joinings, that's really where you want to concentrate. So I'd imagine anything going under the vehicle is going to scrape around here. So we need to concentrate that edge. Yeah, okay. And it's all just a matter of tapping where you think you're going to get the most wear and tear. Underneath at the front, this is where we want to go to town a bit, just because this area underneath would see quite a bit of damage action. So starting about here, we kind of want to bring some of these jags, because you imagine things would get dragged underneath, twigs, branches, boulders, and they would naturally scratch as they go. So the paintwork would naturally get damaged and flecked onto here, probably more so than anywhere. And the same on the here. Right, let's call that a bit there. I think that's suitably dirted, busted up. The next thing I need to do is I'm basically going to black contrast the las guns that are sticking out at the side here. So, bit of Black Legion, and we'll just get these guns done. Okay, while I'm at it, I've done the rear idler, which is this bit here, and then the front idler. Okay, and then all the track wheels I'm keeping black, but I'll probably dry brush these with some Eshin grey, some lighter colours. The same with the track. Now, as I mentioned, I worked on armoured vehicles, and most tracks have some kind of pad in them, but what I may do, these look like, I'm going to go over these with black and then I'll dry brush with lead belcher, and I think that'll be these done. So the last thing now that I want to be doing is just applying streaks to certain areas. You know, this doesn't have to be anything too mega. Bit of agric surf shade just around a few places, just to allow for some streaks and grime, hatches, that kind of thing. And especially where there is exhaust. And we'll come down like that along here. Because exhaust fumes would be pretty nasty, I think, coming out this way. I might just even block in a lot of this area. Yeah, and on the side we'd allow for sort of streaky rain patterns, so you could just like bob it in. You don't have to go too mad, really. Use a smaller brush. Can maybe get some different. Let me just patch it throughout. And then these lines can just be added willy-nilly where we want them. I don't know, maybe thinking less is more perhaps. Okay, let's have a look at the other side. Trying to marry it up really, kind of to where I've got particular battle damage. Okay, let's have a look at the back. And we will certainly run it along, definitely that. One, we have more air exhaust. We'll get that right in there. Okay. Let's have a look at the turret. We'll smooth it over a minute. So, turret wise, let's have a look. Go back to our detail brush. Get a bit of the old agrax on there. We do exactly the same. Okay. Really pleased with where we've got to. We'll leave that there. And I think we can call it. So we're all done. I'm really pleased with how this turned out. The magnetised options have worked really well for me. I really like the vertical design. I think it adds to the aesthetic of the Death Korps, which is kind of what I was saving it for. Not only that, it comes in a bit cheaper as well, so that's always a Billy bonus, isn't it? Anyway, here's the finished article.